Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Now today I'm working with the Card Cut Essential Dies 1 and 2 from Pink and Main, and I've got 4 pieces of pattern paper here, and I'm planning on just using both dies 1 and 2 to die cut out several pieces here. And we're going to be working with Kendra's Card Challenge 16, and I'm calling this my fall set. And the first 6 sketches, 1 through 6, were inspired by the Pink and Main sketches that were included with the purchase of the Card Cut Dies 1 and 2 bundle. And so I'm going to use these dies to create my first 4 cards. I'm only doing 4 today. I could do all of them. I could do 6 of them with what I have die cut out here. But I'm just going to run them through my machine. I've sped this up quite a bit and get all these pieces die cut out. And then I'm going to take a minute and pull together 4 of my sketches, and then we'll just step through them. So I'm really excited to be back in my craft room. We were on vacation 20 of the last 25 days, I believe. And so I hadn't been able to craft. I did load my channel so that it was busy. I think I wound up with maybe 1 or 2 days that I didn't have a video. I know the first day back I didn't have a video because we didn't have internet. And so that was kind of annoying because I had a video ready to go. I just could not get it uploaded. So here I've got everything die cut out, and I'm bringing in my card bases. And I've got up above, here's the 6 sketches that use the Card Cut Essentials 1 and 2. And what I have laying at the top of my desk are pieces that are left over. And I have already set aside the first 4 sketches. So this one I've used an embossing folder called Hand Drawn Lines from Spellbinders. And I'm just going to get this cream colored. This is Spellbinders Essential Cardstock. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's like a cream color. And I'm just going to get it glued down on my hammer mill card base. And we'll just get it laid down on there. Just getting it lined up. This has been one of my newer favorite embossing folders from Spellbinders. I've used it quite a bit on my channel. I'm drinking a little sip of coffee here, and I've got a little white edge on there, so I'm just going to trim it off and straighten that up. And then next it calls for a layer, 2 layers there, and I used, that die cut piece from the Card Cut Essential Dies for it. And then I've just brought in a piece of, I think it's Dune Essential Cardstock from Spellbinders, and I'm going to layer that up behind this, I don't know, checkered pattern. It almost looks like a fall tablecloth or something. And I'm going to get it laid down on my embossed panel, and then we'll bring in our other elements. So I'm, kind of back to my craft room. I'm glad to get back, and I'm trying to catch up and figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. I have a lot of commitments, and I was just trying to sort through and remind myself of everything that I need to do. I did also, I'm going to use some of the Kat Scrappiness products in this video because I'm using some of the pumpkins from their new release and stuff. But where I was going with that is I also needed to put I do videos for Kat Scrappiness channel, and I needed to upload a video for them. So this is my second video of the day. I went ahead and did my commitment for Kat Scrappiness and got it loaded. And then I thought, well, then I'll get another video made so that I can get it loaded for my channel. But when I got back, I had several packages available for pickup at the post office with different new products in it. And so I've got a stack of things that I'm excited to work with and can't wait to bring to my channel to show you. It's just a matter of finding the time right now after having just got back from vacation, trying to get everything situated, and then having the boys. Now this just seemed like the easiest way for me to put those 2 squares down on the diagonal. And so I just decided to put them on the edge of it and line it up, and then lay it all down together. It just seemed like the easiest way. And I'm just trying to eyeball it and get it lined up and get it fairly straight, and that'll work. And I was kind of worried about how all these pattern papers would work together, but I think they work together okay. Now, I've got that done, and I've spent all of that effort creating that card base, and I'm going to actually bring in some die cut pieces, and this is where I used the die cut from Kat Scrappiness to die cut out some pumpkins. I've got some white pumpkins, some orange pumpkins, and some metallic pumpkins. And then I've got this stamp set that I'm going to use, and I'm going to stamp on that. But because I took all of that time already putting this together, I'm going to go ahead and use my Misty so that I don't mess it up, since I've got my card already almost fully complete. So we'll just get it laid down. And I do bring in just a piece of scrap card base and lay down, because I felt like that sticky mat that's on there felt like it had a bunch of junk on it. So I just laid an orange piece underneath there so it wouldn't get the back of my nice card dirty. I don't know if it's embossing powder or what's on there, but I could just feel it. And I'm going to lay this Happy Fall stamp on there, and I'm going to use my Memento black ink, and I'm going to stamp it up. Now, I love this Happy Fall. It has the daintiest little happy and then a bold fall, and I think it's really pretty. So I'll stamp this a couple times and get it good and inked up, and then we'll go back and we'll add our pumpkins. Now, this is a little bit of a longer video because I did do 4 cards, so I hope you'll stick with it to the end. I really appreciate it if you do. Next, I'm going to figure out which pumpkins I want to lay down on here. So I'm just playing around with them, trying to decide how I want them. And I like the white contrast on there along with the orange. So I think this is where I'm going to go. I'm still fiddling, trying to decide what I want to do. But I think, yeah, I'm going to go with it like this and get them laid down on here. I think it's simple but very pretty. And so I'll just glue my cream-colored pumpkin down, and then I'm going to bring in some foam tape and pop up my little one just to add a little bit of dimension. These are pretty flat cards. We do have the dimension from the embossing folder, but otherwise they're pretty flat cards. So I'm just cutting some little bitty pieces of foam tape, and I'll get this popped up and laid down on there. I think it turned out really pretty. I like it. I don't use cream very much. I just recently bought some cream in the big Spellbinders warehouse sale, and so I'm going to use it tonight. Now, I've got another one here that I have got for card sketch 2. I've got an embossed panel, and it's in the Tuscan color, and I'm going to get it laid down on my card base. And this one is pretty simple. You're just taking really 2 pieces of your pattern paper, and for this particular sketch. Now this, it shows where you cut it on a diagonal. And so I'm just eyeballing it. I've got a little notch out there from, I don't know, the hanger from this pattern paper. It had like a hole in it. And I'm trying to figure out which way I should cut it so that it will not show that mark. So I'm just going to grab my Spellbinders paper trimmer, and it's 5.5. So I know 2 1/4 will be about halfway. And so I'm going to get it on 2 1/4, and then I'm just going to angle it to an angle that I want, and then I'll chop it off. I don't get the measurements exactly right, and you don't have to, because your center square will cover up any error that you make in that. So don't worry about that at all. You can see it's a little bit off, but I'm okay with it. And I'm just going to get this paper laid down on the card base, one at the top and one at the bottom. You can see they overlap a little bit, but that's okay. I actually took my pattern paper and used one of the squares from the Card Cut Essentials, and then I went 1/4 inch bigger and put a piece of cream color behind it. You see it laying there to the side. So my square is actually 1/4 inch bigger than what the sketch calls for, but I wanted to use the square with the pumpkins on there and be able to set that on this one since they would be upright and at the right angle. So I'm just going to bring in my blending brush here. I've got one that I have some, I don't know, vintage photo on or something like that. I'm just rubbing on there what's left on my brush. And then I'm going to bring in my orange blending brush and just use what's on there and just kind of tone that cream down a little bit. And then we'll lay that in the center and we'll get our pumpkins laid on there. And this one, I decide not to even add a sentiment on the front. I thought I could just put something on the inside later when I decide what I want to do with this. So we'll just get this square laid down there according to the sketch. And I'll just grab my glue gun and we'll just get this laid down on there and just leave it at that. So you can see how simple this one here is. Just take a strip of paper, cut it on the diagonal, and then you've got a couple squares, and it makes for a great card. I was contemplating whether I needed to add a sentiment or anything else, but I'm just going to leave it as is, and we will move on to our next card. So for this one, I've got a cream-colored panel again, and I have embossed it with some leaves, falling leaves, an old embossing folder from Spellbinders called Falling Leaves. And I know because of my first card that I want to go ahead and do my stamping first. So I'm going to bring in the Misty, and I'm going to get my little square laid down, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp first, and then we'll assemble our card. And so I'm going to actually bring in a couple of stamps here. I'm going to use, it says, "In all things give thanks." And there's some acorns that are super cute. And this, again, has that real fine font and then the bold font together, and it really looks pretty together. So we'll get it inked up and stamped down, and then we'll be able to assemble our card. My Misty's a little bit off camera there, but I think you can see what I'm doing there at the bottom, just inking it up. And I went ahead and did do it twice, and these really stamped beautiful. I will link all the materials in the description box below so you can check it out. But this stamp set from Kat Scrappiness is really pretty. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. I'm going to clean up my desktop here a little bit and get my extra pieces out of the way and just create some room to work because I've got my other two cards laying there. I'm going to bring in my card base and roll my sleeves up so I can get going here and get this panel laid down. And I'm telling you what, these embossing folders just add so much to your cards. I just encourage you to use them if you have them. They're just fantastic. And of course you can ink blend them or do that blackout technique on them or whatever, but they're really pretty. So this one calls for this strip of patterned paper here, and then it also calls for the, I don't know, I want to call them pinking sheer look strips. That die on the very edge of it will cut out a little strip that kind of looks like you used pinking shears on it. And you can, it actually cuts out too, because it cuts the piece that comes out and then you have the piece that it came from. And so I cut both of those up, and I'm going to use both of those on this sketch here. And I did the negative piece of it is a little bit larger than the actual die cut piece. So I just trimmed it down to where it would be about the same width as the die cut piece. And that way they would look similar on the top and the bottom. Kind of gives a little scalloped edge to my pumpkin paper there. And my pumpkin paper doesn't go all the way to the edge of the card, but it doesn't matter because we're going to lay that square up. We're going to butt it up next to the edge of the card, and you won't be able to see that it didn't go all the way there. And I dropped that stamped piece down on my pattern paper, and so I had to wipe the glue up. I tell you, I'm like fumble fingers. And I'm looking to see if that pinking strip is going to hang over the edge, but it's okay. So we'll just get this laid down. The back of that paper had some cut aparts on it. It was pretty thick paper too. Just get that pressed down, and I like this. I think it's really pretty. Now we're going to make our fourth one, and this will be the last one for today's video. And on this one, I brought in some Tuscan paper, and I realized I didn't emboss the panel, so I'm going to go ahead and grab an embossing folder and emboss this up. So I'm digging in my little embossing folder bin, and I found this leafy one here, and I'll just go and get it embossed. So now we have our embossed panel, it's ready to go, and we are ready to assemble the next card. Now this one was a little bit more challenging from a design standpoint to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with it. And I just kind of kept going until I landed on what I thought I liked. Now when you first look at this sketch, it almost makes you think that there is a full piece that goes across this like a strip. But if you look closely at it, it will tell you that it's a 1 inch by 2 inch view there, and that part of it tucks under your window die piece there. So I'm just bringing in that T-square and trying to line it up on a line on my desk so that I can get them somewhat straight. So I'll just fiddle around with that for a minute, and then I'll just pick one up, get it laid down, and then I'll use my T-square to get them both lined up where I want it. So it was just easier just to pick it up, glue one down, eyeball it, get it as close as you can, and then use the T-square to get the other one lined up. And I'm trying to get it on the edge of my cardstock there. There, now I'll just lay that down there. We'll get some glue on this one, and then I'll just line it up that way. And that'll help you get it fairly straight. And I'll get that one laid down, and then I'm going to move on to my next piece, which is what I call the window, the 4-pane window die. And I've chosen to use that little tiny little floral pattern on there, and I'll just get it laid down. And then we'll get the insides of this laid down, and we'll start to decorate our card. So I'm just running a fine strip along those edges, trying not to make a mess out of it, and we'll get it laid down on there. And it really looks funky like this because you can see the paper behind it, and you can see the embossed panel and everything, and it just looks really weird. But I used the Card Essentials die and die cut out the squares so that they would have the stitched edging on it. Okay, so I'm going to get these inserted in there, and I've just got 4, and they're in the Dune cardstock, and I'm going to just lay them in there like that. And I am going to go ahead and stamp one of them with Autumn Blessings, and so I'll just pull them out. I'll bring in the Misty again. We'll get this laid down on there, and we'll get our Autumn Blessings stamped down. And it didn't stick to my sticky mat, so I'm going to reposition it. I actually put it in the upper corner. That way, if it moves again, I know where I can put it. I need to flip my sticky mat over. Sometimes it loses its sticky, and if I just flip them back and forth, it seems to work. I probably need to rinse it off too. So I'm just going to use my Memento black ink again and just stamp up Autumn Blessings, and this will look nice in the corner. And it's stamped up really pretty. And I'm just using my pick tool to lift it off of there, and I'm going to set it into my card where it's going to go in that lower right-hand corner. And then we're going to bring in a bunch of the die cut pieces and start decorating this card up. So we'll get this laid down, and we'll get the other ones glued into place, and then we'll bring our die cut pieces in. And it's kind of tricky because I have so much embossing on there, so I'm trying to really get some glue on there so it'll stay down. and I'll just keep gluing it up. We've had some really, really cold weather the last couple of days. I mean, it was 36 this morning. And here I've been in the sun on the beach for the last 20 days. And so now it's 36 degrees and I'm freezing. So I've got my long sleeves on and they're driving me nuts as I'm crafting it. You'll see I keep trying to push them up out of the way. But yeah, it's been really cool. And of course the grandsons, they want to be outside, and it's really, at 36 degrees, I don't really want to be outside with them. But fortunately today, it did warm up enough into the 50s, low 50s, that in the afternoon I could let them go outside and play for a little bit, and they had a good time doing that. So I'm just looking at all my little doodads. I had a little coffee cup with a leaf die cut out of it. I thought about using it. Had a little apple too, but I've got these pumpkins and I've got some leaves, and I'm just gonna arrange them. I'm still debating on using those metallic pumpkins, and I'm still not really filling it with the pattern paper that I have. So those leaves are in just kind of a lighter golden yellow color, and there are 5 of them. It's a little bit big to swag over these windows here, so I'll just cut it down and swag it across there. And so we'll have kind of a little vignette of pumpkins and leaves and blessings. Just going to get my leaves glued down on there, and then we'll get our pumpkins glued down, kind of like I've got them situated there. And I cut 2 of the leaves off. There were 5 of them. I cut them down to 3 so that it would fit on there, but I'll bring the other 2 back in. And I put 2 on the bottom, and I'm going to put 3 in this upper right-hand corner pumpkins, and we'll have 5 little pumpkins. We could sing a nursery rhyme song about that. And then I've got those 2 leaves, and I'm going to kind of fool with them and try to decide what I want to do with them. Just move them around. Actually going to cut them off of their string. And I'm looking to see, do I want to put them around Autumn Blessings? No, it looks a little too crowded, too busy. And then I decide that I'm going to put them in between the 3 that are already on there, but I'm going to pop them up. So I'll just grab some foam tape, just take a little bitty piece for each one, and we'll get them popped up. And laid down on our card. And this will finish up our 4th card. So these are sketches 1 through 4 of Kendra's Card Challenge 16. And I did use the Card Cut Essential Dies 1 and 2, and was able to put all 4 of these together. So with that last leaf laid down on there, and I really like the dimension that adds. So let's just recap our cards. This was the first one, here's the second one, here's the third one, and here's the 4th one. So I hope you like them. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.